long were you a statist? This is the word we'd like to use to describe the belief in authority.
Yeah.
How long were you a statist, and how did you get out of your statism?
Oh man, this is something I've thought about so much because, I'm always thinking about, like, why is it that, like I was able to see the stuff and snap out of it. But, sadly, I was a statist for 27 years. I'm 36 now. Um, Man, I was playing video games. I was playing Call of Duty a lot. Like I was that dude who'd be up at midnight getting the new Call of Duty in November. And I did that for 6 years straight. But there was something that snapped at me. I was like, this is the same game over and over. That pattern recognition started to kick in. And this was this was right after Sandy Hook. So late 2012, early 2013. I wanted to get a firearm and I just started doing research and I just happened to get into conspiracies and did that for 2 years, you know, went down that rabbit hole, searched all of the conspiracies, was a Ron Paul, advocate slash a libertarian, how this when the Ron Paul thing was blowing up, how YouTube was blowing up. And then used to watch Alex Jones, Hell for Infowars. And just so happened, I happened to watch the Alex Jones nightly news with Leanne McAtoo, and this when Mark had did his first interview, and you know, it's like once you see Mark and how he presents, he just had this energy, and he brought up the whole topic of mind control and slavery and occultism, and I had never really dove in deeper, like it was just surface level conspiracy. So he left so much of a imprint that I'm like, who is this dude? So
Mm.
I went like 2 weeks, didn't check out any of his work, and then I finally looked up his name, and then his natural law presentation, how came up, went through that in 9 hours, sat down the first time, went through it, didn't eat, was confused. I had questions, went, watched it again. And I'm like, man, something about this is making sense. So went through his podcast, went through all of his links, you start coming across, how more other people who put out this work, how Larkin Rose, which is, he's phenomenal. His book, what is it? The Most Deadly
Mhm.
Superstition. Yeah. Read that book, highly liked it. And this is when I started reading, because I knew I was good at taking in video. I knew I wasn't the best reader, but it was something that I wanted to do, so started getting books, started reading those. And Richard B. Rutherford's books,
Yeah,
Right as Might. Oh man, those books
yeah,
are phenomenal because they're simple, they're easy to understand.
they're
So
fantastic. Yeah.
right, yeah. So doing that for 2 or 3 years, like I literally went through all of Mark's work. Hell, this was when Tessarian was putting stuff on YouTube, went through all of his stuff, like internal work, how shadow work. Um, went and started studying what like anarchy is, started getting into philosophy, and it was like as I'm taking in this information, there was literally a change internally, that starts to happen, like within yourself. And I was going hard, like I was going 8, 10, 12 hours a day, like just researching, and probably why I was gifted with a big head. But yeah, it's just like over time, as I was shifting my focus more on the freedom philosophy, like in the work, I weeded out all of the conspiracy, like all of the nonsense, pretty much anything that was creating fear and stress in my life. And I mean the false set of fear and stress, stop going to certain sites, because all of the ads, and there was a purge that happened, because I think that's what a lot of people forget too, is as you're going through this process, you need to have that purge. You need to start to filter out the stuff that was inside of you once, or if you're still taking in information that may necessarily, not be beneficial to you, are you willing to let that stuff go? Are you willing to purge it out and get it out of your life? And that's what I started to do, was shift my focus on the things that I needed to be focused on, how internal work, rights, freedom, how all of those things, how shadow work. Then that process started to open up. Then those doors started to open, because as I was going through Mark's work, it was like for each video that Mark had recommended, 10 more came in. or like for each book, you check the sources, and you may see 10, 12 different books, and hell, you can go to those sources, and it just kept opening up more and more and more and more, because Mark was always very well researched. Well, I'm glad he did, because all of those research helped open me up to all of those, help presenters work, like Lloyd Pye. And he did the whole series, Mark, as far as the human origins. That's something that I always wanted to talk about, but it's just not like favorite as far as in today's day, in age. But yeah, going through those links, going through those sources, hell, writing things down, it's that thirst inside of me that wanted to know, and I had a drive, I had an insatiable appetite, I wanted to know. And boy, when I wanted to know, that information came in like a floodgate, because this was back before all the censorship like really started. So I kind of took advantage of all the videos that were being posted online, and I'm thankful that I did, because it was about 3 years into it, I started to see a change, like talking with people, and other people started to see a change within me on how I conducted myself, how I presented myself, like how I taught, how my vocabulary got better, it expanded, because that's one thing, is when you are reading, you're also growing your vocabulary and your imagination too. So as I'm talking with people, like I'm getting positive feedback, as far as communicating with them. Because if not, like sometimes when you go to talk to people, you just want to go like just 1,000 miles an hour, like just straight, like hardcore. Some people you can do that, but some people you can't. You're gonna lose people. You're just gonna flood them with so much information. You know, it was after I started going, like on my own journey, then that process started to happen within me, that I can, see like, hey, this person is being receptive to what I'm saying. This person is giving me these signals and these clues that what I am having to say is, resonating with them. So that's pretty much, like how my process started. It took years, because it was, like steps onto the conspiracy, because I just started to have this pattern recognition, playing video games a lot, because I always had free time. I never really had a 9 to 5 slave job. So I just shifted my time, from playing 10 hours of video games, like in one day, to, educating myself.